Hi, I'm Lauren Wagner, Senior Director of Content Marketing for Bright Horizons, and we're here today to talk about STEM Fest, a really exciting event that's happening at our centers all across the country on November 8th. Please welcome me to join the conversation, Heidi Morrison, Director of Education and Curriculum for Bright Horizons. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Lauren. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here to talk about STEM Fest and just our STEM curriculum in general.
I know it's a really exciting event, so I'm really excited to get this conversation going. So for all of those tuning in, can we tell people a little bit just basically what is STEM Fest?
Right, of course. So I guess I should start by just sharing that STEM is the acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And National STEM Day is November the 8th this year. And so we decided at Bright Horizons to have STEM Fest on the same day as National STEM Day. And it is for prospective and for enrolled families at Bright Horizons. I'd love to tell you just a little bit more. So for prospective families, it really gives them the opportunity to see STEM learning experiences and to experience the curriculum a little bit deeper at Bright Horizons, right? And you can see this in action through a center tour and a classroom visit. One of the highlights of our Bright Horizons discovery-driven learning method is the attention to documentation of children's learning experiences. And by that I really mean the way that a teacher documents questions that a child asks about a topic, curiosities that might spark a learning experience or a project, and also the level of engagement that children exhibit during their project work. And so for enrolled families, why STEM Fest is exciting is because it really highlights our STEM experiences in the classroom. It shows the documentation and the display of them, and then there will be some actual projects that the children had put together on site and some really fun things for parents and children to do together.
So I happen to have a 3 and a 4-year-old at a center, and I know they come home talking about doing math and science and really cool projects all the time. So for those people that aren't as familiar and who are attending, why is having STEM be part of that preschool or K-prep classroom so important for future building skills?
Yeah, great question. So STEM has received a lot of attention in the last decade or 15 years or so, but mostly for its value to elementary education. Its value for early childhood programs is more recent, right? The emphasis on it. And the reason for that is all of this research now shows that early math proficiency essentially predicts later math and literacy success even better than early literacy proficiency does. So a long time ago, people used to believe that if children were able to read earlier, that's what would predict school success. But in fact, what is a better predictor of it is STEM experiences and STEM success in classroom. So these children are obviously more confident, they ask questions, they use resources, they use the teacher as a resource and their peers as well. They learn to collaborate with each other and essentially are likely to be much more successful in STEM disciplines later on. It also honors the scientific process that children go through when they ask questions, they form a hypothesis, they test the hypothesis through trial and error, and then do a lot of learning through that process. And going through that develops these critical skills, these higher level or 21st century learning skills that will support learning both later at school and in their life outside of school.
Yeah, I love that. I just picture them as these little scientists, like running around the classrooms all the time. What inspired Bright Horizons to organize the STEM Fest event this year, and what are your goals for the event this year?
So discovery-driven learning is the framework for our curriculum at Bright Horizons and really hinges on these nurturing relationships that develop within the classroom and these beautiful materials and engaging environments. And also an emergent curriculum. An emergent curriculum is really one where the teacher is the co-learner and the co-researcher in the child's learning process. So the child notices something, they're curious about it, they ask a question, and the teacher's response is usually, well, let's find out. And through this process that they then go through together, they both learn things and come away with this very rich experience. And so the STEM Fest showcases some of these beautiful projects that have been done in classrooms for preschoolers and for 4-year-olds as well. And I also want to point out that Bright Horizons, the centers, teachers, parents, children, they're all part of this really welcoming and supportive and fun community. And so hosting family events that really showcase our curriculum, but also showcase the work that the children are doing, it's a really important piece of an enriching community and center experience.
Yeah, no, that's so great. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of STEM education for young children and how it aligns with Bright Horizons philosophy?
Yeah, sure. So STEM activities are exciting, right? This is what children want to do. They're hands-on, they're immersive, they engage the children in discovery, and that's really what is at the core of our philosophy, our emergent curriculum, and our philosophy of learning here. These experiences are essentially ones that go beyond learning content, right? And they go into phases of doing research, wondering about things, experimenting with things, persisting to find the end to a particular challenge, and so on. And when we think about at Bright Horizons, what is the technology that we really want to highlight in the classroom? It goes way beyond using screens. Of course, some of our classrooms do have smart boards and iPads and so on. But what it's really about is using math and science concepts and putting those into application. So it elevates engineering and building with blocks and constructing in the sandbox. And we also see STEM learning as really an ideal opportunity to close that gender gap. And that can start pretty early. Engaging both boys and girls equally in this learning process lays the foundation that then later on opens up all of these possibilities for them in their future school and career success.
Yeah, I love that so much. Especially, I personally have two girls, so it's so important to expose them to, the other industries as well, and not just some stereotypical ones. Could you provide insights to the age-appropriate STEM curriculum and activities
Yeah, of course.
that are offered specifically in the preschool program?
Sure. Yeah. So obviously at Bright Horizons, we've already, talked about this. We know that a strong STEM program is critical to prepare children for what will come later in their lives, right? For both for school and for outside of school. We also really have this view that what young children really are, is they're natural scientists, they're explorers, they're engineers, they're investigators, they're mathematicians. And so by actively offering them these opportunities to engage with STEM content and with ideas, what we're doing is we're opening the door to all of these pleasurable and meaningful learning experiences that they can then have. STEM learning has also been shown to support development of many other learning competencies, including linguistics and literacy skills, executive functioning, so like working memory, planning for something, being able to see through it, having grit and persistence, and all of those future-ready skills that we know both as parents and as educators are really important for our children to develop. So in any given week, I'd love to talk a little bit about what these specific experiences look like in a classroom. Yeah. So you might see children measuring how many steps it takes to get from the playground to the classroom door. And one of them might take like the straight path, and one of them might take a curved path. One might walk all the way around the building to get to the door. And they all come up with these different number of steps that it took, and they might graph it and put it up on a big chart paper that you might see in a classroom. Other fun things, projects that you might see are constructing. So they love to construct with blocks and with different kinds of materials. So you might see who can make the strongest bridge, and you can only use paper and toothpicks, right? They might put little figurines on top to be testing their hypothesis for how many toothpicks does it take to hold it all together. Or you might see them, read a book about something, maybe about animals or in a barn or a farm, and then they might be playing in the construction area and be constructing a place for these farm animals to live. Ideally, you'll hear lots of questions coming from the children if you listen in, right? How and why kinds of questions, not just what questions. And then you should hear teachers really encouraging children's thinking. And they like to use lots and lots of open-ended prompts like, I wonder what would happen if we put the zebra and the elephant on the bridge together. Would it collapse? Let's find out, right? And most of all, really, what you're likely to see is curious children engaged in joyful learning in the classrooms.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Those are amazing examples. So thank you. How does the preschool program at Bright Horizons incorporate hands-on and sort of experiential learning to really enhance the children's understanding of these STEM concepts?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lauren. And I think it's first really important to understand that every experience that we build into our curriculum, into our preschool and our K-prep curriculum, is designed to be hands-on and process-oriented, not product-oriented, right? So rather than focus on teaching one specific skill or one piece of content, each of the experiences, they're interrelated, right? And they're interdisciplinary. So you're learning math along with literacy and technology along with science or along with visual and creative arts. And each of these experiences is really designed to raise questions, to pique the child's curiosity, to inspire them to go explore and to experiment a little bit more. And the experience focuses on, like I said, the process or the steps rather than the end product. So we, rather than have the children follow up with or create something that they saw the teacher do, they're exposed to the material in very inspiring ways through putting out provocations, like the way something is displayed or a new material under a spotlight. And all of these things are used in order to kindle their interest and their curiosity. And then we watch to see how did the children engage with these materials, right? So you can take the same thing like blocks or sand in the sandbox. And what you will essentially see is 5 children using it in 5 unique ways. And they all learn to communicate and to collaborate with each other around this beautiful piece of work so that they're constantly learning from each other.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything that I am not asking about the event that you think I should be asking, or anything left that you would want anyone who's thinking about attending to know?
I would say go in with an open mind. If you see prompts and things for your children to use, encourage them to play with them. I would say play with your children. Don't be afraid of using scientific terms, vocabulary, and really rich language with the children. Lots and lots of research has been done around this topic, and it actually has been shown that the more rich your vocabulary with your child, the more likely they are to be curious and to want to use that vocabulary as well. Just explain it to them in childlike terms, and then find ways to use it and to kind of infuse it into your conversation with them during the course of that week. So have fun, look for things to play with, ask lots of questions, and we really hope that you enjoy the STEM Fest event we've put together.
Well, thank you for this wealth of information, Heidi. I know I even learned a few things. And for anyone who is interested in attending, it's on November 8th, and you can go to brighthorizons.com/events/STEMfest to learn more information. And thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Heidi.